Greetings, folks. Ealer here. Thanks to this returning guest, Magrue5185, we have a very exciting and close match to share with you today. Now, Magrue is sailing the premium Tier 9 U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Benham, and while he does get very solid results for this game, this replay is mostly about his teammate ALEXHAVOK, who is sailing the Tier 10 U.S. Navy battleship, the USS Montana. Now, both Alex and Magrue are part of a family of related North America clans called the 90th, and by some good fortune, they coincidentally dropped into the same game and on the same side. Now, this match is from the latest round of ranked sprint that was played on 093 in late April and early May. These games were played with Tier 9 and Tier 10 ships in arms race mode, and for this battle, Alex and Magrue's team are on the map Sleeping Giant. Now, I do have quite a few notes for Alex's build. First of all, he is running a mostly tank concealment build, although he elects to not take basics of survivability, instead picking up an extra level 2 and level 1 skill, including Jack of all trades and expert loader. I suspect, based on these commander skill choices, Alex uses this commander on U.S. Navy supercruisers like the Alaska or the Puerto Rico. Secondly, Alex is using the Montana's unique upgrade, which improves rudder shift and reduces the duration of floods, fires, and repair time of steering gears. And then finally, Alex mounts the auxiliary plotting room modification 1 upgrade in slot 3. This upgrade is unique to U.S. Navy battleships and increases their main battery range by 16%, which bumps the Montana's base range from 23.6 kilometers to a whopping 27.4 kilometers. Excuse me. Now, the title of the video, Kiss of Death, is not intended to be clickbait. There is a very clear reason why I elected to use this title, and later on it will be evident why, but I don't want to spoil things. Now, this replay almost didn't happen. When I attempted to capture the replay on my backup of 093, the game client crashed. Fortunately, the replays did work on 092, but with a few minor visual operations. Specifically, the buff icons do not render in the buff capture circles on the mini map, but the heads-up display does show which buffs are captured and available to Alex and Magrue's team. Okay, enough with the background. Let's get to the action. First of all, Magrue will be working the middle part of the map for most of the game, providing spotting and area denial. We will come back to him now and again, especially later on. For now, we're going to be working here with Alex, who is over on the southeast side of the map, where his team has just picked up its second heal buff. And Alex has started a kind of a very interesting position. He is already in a kiting posture, unlike his opponent there, the Friedrich der Große, which is bow in, and the Republik. So I thought the kiting position was an interesting choice. This may be a reflection of, first of all, up until fairly recently, we didn't know exactly where most or all of the opponents were. And it's not a bad idea for a battleship. That was kind of a disappointing salvo, but it's not a bad idea for a battleship to be kind of in a defensive posture, be ready to get out, so that if for some reason all of the big HE spammers like the Des Moines, the Smolensk, and so on that are on the opponent's team showed up at the same flank, Alex doesn't want to just get erased early in the match. And if he does need to get out, being in a kiting posture allows him to escape without having to make a dangerous turn, unlike this Friedrich der Große that is, well, it looks like he's going to avoid these torpedoes, but this poor battleship is already almost down, lost at least two-thirds of his health. Here comes another salvo from Alex. Wow, 2 pens, but no damage. He must have penetrated guns or some other modules. But in any case, we can see that the Friedrich is about to go down. Now, the Allies have already lost 2 ships, and the opponents lost their Fletcher, which was over here on the east side, and that's going to make things a little bit easier for the Allies to operate here. Alex has a broadside shot on this Alaska, and that shot looks pretty good. Ooh, nice. Citadel hit. He takes out pretty close to half of the Alaska's health. Speaking of health, his allies have now picked up the 4th heal buff. I'm sure the Alaska and the Friedrich would like to have extra heal buffs at this point. We can see that the Tier 9 battleship is just about to go down. He's burning and has Only a few thousand hit points left. Alex is looking around. Yeah, there goes the battleship. So I should note that in combination of the artillery plotting room or auxiliary plotting room upgrade for slot 3, in addition with the spotting airplane that or spotting aircraft that Alex has up right now, his firing range is a like staggering 32.9 kilometers or something. So we can almost not see his firing range circle on the mini map at all, only in the northwest corner of the map. I find it challenging enough to hit targets that are, 24 kilometers away, let alone almost 33. But the airplane is definitely useful for getting angles on targets that are behind islands or near islands like the Alaska had. So I don't think Alex is using the plane so much for the range, but just to get a better perspective on some of these shots. Now, Alex is going to start moving up here on the east side because the Allies do have a very good handle on this flank, whereas the opponents are clearly much stronger in the west. In fact, speaking of the west, Alex is trying to get some shots here on this Des Moines that's got a very good anchor position on the northwest side of the center part of the map where the center circle will show up here fairly shortly. How's this shot look? 5,800 damage, not too much. And the other noteworthy item here is the Allied Khabarovsk that is in the middle of the west part of the map where the alpha cap would normally be in domination mode. That is not a place for a Khabarovsk to be. I've briefly switched here to Magru's perspective because there is this allied Alsace that has moved dead center into the middle of the map, and he's just put himself into a crossfire between the Des Moines, the Alaska, which is now repositioned to be able to fire into the center of the map. The Yamato may be able to fire in, and certainly the Smolensk is. So the Alaska is in a terrible position. Alex has torpedoes out on the smoke screen set by the gearing, which was last detected to the Des Moines east side at looks like Gulf 5 or Gulf 6. It doesn't look like he's going to land any torpedoes on the destroyer, but again, is just trying to use his torpedoes to deny area, and there goes the Alsace. So the Allies are now even again on ships. In fact, now they're behind. They just lost the Khabarovsk that was in that west central part of the map. In fact, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. That was not a position for a Khabarovsk. He should be out in open waters, open gunboating, but interesting choice to bring to an arms race mode. Alex, again, has continued to move up here, whose perspective, obviously, we've switched back to move more to the central east part of the map to be able to fire into the center and try to get some of these other opponents down. The Republic, is he going to take any more torpedoes from yeah, those torpedoes look pretty good. And not quite enough on the Alpha to kill him, but the flooding from the Summers torpedoes do finish off the battleship. That leaves just the Alaska here on the east flank, and Alex is going to position here so that the Alaska cannot fire on him. However, the Des Moines will be able to fire on him, and then probably the single biggest threat is the gearing, which again still hasn't been seen for quite a while. Alex is next to this little channel that's on his port side. There would be a good position for the gearing to send torpedoes through. So Alex, I think, is going to move up a little more, make sure that he's got some buffer with terrain, gets a pretty nice chunk on the Smolensk there with 2 penetrating hits. Takes out a pretty good slice out of that cruiser. But again, Alex, I think, is going to want to be quite cautious here between the threat of torpedoes, which I think he's now mitigated based on his position, but also being in a position where he can be basically spammed by both the Des Moines and the Smolensk. This might not be a really good position. I think he's waiting for the Smolensk to show back up so that he can get a shot on the Smolensk. Do see some fire coming in. Oh, the Smolensk has now just been detected. He is flat broadside to Alex. Shells are out. Is he going to get just overpens? We'll see. Nope, he gets overpens and a Citadel to finish off the Smolensk with a devastating strike. So yes, contrary to popular belief, it is possible to Citadel a broadside Smolensk with battleship armor piercing. Now, so that's one spammer that's out of the way. This Des Moines has pushed up a little closer to Alex. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why he didn't back off more and back up. He takes a bow citadel hit from Alex, which is very good in terms of wearing down some of that health. The other threat here is going to be the Yamato. And again, we still have not seen the gearing. Uh, and where is he? The Yamato, if he pushes out, he's got Alex's side. See lots of torpedoes from Magrue and Benham being sent north towards the Alaska. Now, speaking of Magrue, we switch to his perspective. He is unfortunately going to take a torpedo from the gearing that is in that corner. We did see the gearing briefly, and there's been a call on to target him. Magrue is going to have to slip into some cover here. He is being radared and targeted by a couple of people. There is the gearing. Magru's got to get into some concealment, try to leverage some of the 5 heal buffs that his team has secured to get some health back before he re-engages in the middle. The Benham, one of its weaknesses is a relatively low health pool, so he needs to get out. Now, the gearing, it was still seen. Ooh, the gearing has just been killed by torpedoes from the Zhao, and there are more torpedoes from the Zhao on the way into the middle of the map against that Des Moines. They look pretty good. Yes, they are. They find their mark. So a couple of clutch kills by the Zhao that is located on the north side of the map. And Alex has got a broadside shot here on the Yamato, though it looks like some of his shells were blocked. Yeah, he only gets one shell on. That was kind of disappointing. But the Alaska, that is to Alex's northwest, I think is probably going to target the Zhao because the Zhao is a threat for the Alaska. And yeah, he puts that that U.S. Navy armor piercing to work and takes out the Zhao. So commendations to the Zhao for getting a couple of clutch kills, but too bad we lost him. The Alaska does his job to take out the cruiser. Alex is getting some more shots here on the Yamato. Kind of a disappointing salvo. Some more torpedoes going toward the Yamato from both Magrue, especially in particular Magrue, in the Benham, who is still in the southeast corner of the map. Now we switch to Magrue's perspective here. He has gotten detected by the Shimakaze that was way over on the 2 line for the longest time. We had not seen him for a long time. Magrue, I think, is trying to decide if he's going to open gunboat here. I think he makes the right decision to not gunboat. He wants to get himself into concealment. It's more important for him to stay alive. He doesn't have the health pool to fight the Shima, and he would immediately put himself into a crossfire if he opened up with his guns and got himself redetected between the Republic, the Yamato, and the Alaska. They would be able to put some real hurt on Magrue. So I think Magrue's made the right choice here to get into some concealment right away and get out. So that's kind of a little bit scary because you can see Alex has moved up in the Montana. This perspective we switched to try to get the Alaska down. He needs to not have the Shimakaze on his back flank. That would obviously be a serious threat. Alex is swinging to get his rear guns over. Now I think we're going to see a bug in the, So his guns did not render as being fully over his turrets, but obviously they were based on the actual game. So he was able to get the Alaska down. And now he's moved a little more into the middle of the map. The ship counts are even. These points are actually quite close. This is still anybody's game at this point. There's a ping on the map from Alex to try to locate that Shima because that Shima is a huge threat. Although it looks like the Allies are currently getting the cap. There's no opponents in the cap right now, but I'm sure there's some pressure on the Shima to get into the cap and at least keep Alex's team, from taking it. Now I've switched to Magrue's perspective briefly here because the Summers here has made a very risky play trying to get torpedoes on the Yamato. He does take a full set of guns or shells from the Yamato, and he's also in a crossfire of secondaries from the Republic and the Yamato. So he was full health up to this point and has lost, well, looks like 3/4 of his health very quickly. That was a very, very risky move. I understand that we need to get the Yamato down, or it'd be good to get him off that flank, but I think the Summers is overextended himself. It doesn't look like he got any torpedoes on the Yamato, and the Yamato does finish off the Summers, taking down the destroyer and giving the opponents a one-ship advantage. Now, the Shimakaze is, again, still not slipped into the cap. So we have a Smolensk to the north or northwest of Alex, and then we have Alex and Magrue that are in the middle helping to contest. Magrue gets a torpedo on the Yamato, but it is the shells from Alex that take out the battleship. So they've now evened the ship count. They have a fairly healthy point lead, but with the ships in play, this is still anybody's game. There is the Shimakaze. This is, I think, what Alex was worried about, was whether the Shimakaze was going to come back down south or try to get in behind him to get torpedoes on him. I suspect he was probably being told by his team to get back into the cap and keep Magrue and Alex's team from taking the cap. Alex is switching to high explosive here. Is he going to be able to get a salvo off before the Shima's gone into concealment, and doesn't look like he got any shells on it. See more torpedoes from Magrue, who is in point blank range with that Republic. He is going to send some more torpedoes here toward the Republic, and Alex is going to have to stay bow in, try to avoid some of these big guns from the Republic. There's another buff to the maneuverability. Clearly the Republic was expecting torpedoes and has slowed and avoided that latest set. Alex is shooting for the guns of the Republic here. He's trying to take that front turret out, so that the Republic cannot fire on him. He does get some chip damage, but he doesn't disable that gun. Alex, I think, felt confident at this point he could make this turn. See some more torpedoes from Magrue. There is Confederate. Switch to Magrue's perspective here, because he has just sent another set of torpedoes on the Republic, and we see a pile of torpedoes coming in from the Shima against Alex. Alex is going to avoid those torpedoes, but the torpedoes on the Republic look really good. He gets all four, but it's not enough to kill the battleship. Switch back to Alex's perspective, and he's able to finish off the Republic. That gives the Allies a one-ship advantage, and the Shimakaze, having used all of his torpedoes, even if he had the unique upgrade, it's unlikely he will have torpedoes ready to go again. He only has one option, is to use his final torpedo of desperation, which is his ship. Alex is loading high explosive here. Salvo out, takes out most of the health, and here is the kiss of death, earning 4 achievements in a ram, including Kraken Unleashed, High Caliber, Devastating Strike, and Die Hard. The Venezia is in no position to affect the outcome of the game, and so the Allies, with the seconds winding down, are going to win on points, and we'll transition to the end screens. So almost 3,100 base XP and a plethora of achievements from ALEXHAVOK in the Tier 10 U.S. Navy battleship, the USS Montana, and allied with Magrue5185 in the Benham in a arms race battle here on Sleeping Giants. So I'll leave the results up for both gentlemen. This was an excellent and very exciting match to watch. I hope everybody did enjoy the replay and the commentary. Please do leave your comments below. And as always, we hope to see you out there on the virtual seas, and we wish you happy sailing.